those of you who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth and I'm an instructor with Boundless Holy Yoga. Today's flow is going to be a little bit more of a workout. We're going to be working on our core, but it should still be safe for pre and postnatal moms. So we're going to begin at the top of our mat in mountain. So standing on your feet, really rooting down in through all four corners of your feet. So the front and back of the feet. You should be able to still pick up your toes here and not lose your balance though. So once you've found that comfortable place for your feet, rolling our shoulders back and down, letting that chest rise just slightly while thinking of knitting the ribs together, engaging the core, softening the shoulders, drawing the skull back. And we're going to focus on our breath, breathing in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. Taking a few more deep breaths here in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. This time with that deep inhale, our arms are going to come up on the sides, reaching above our head, and exhale, dropping the arms back towards the sides. Continuing with that breath and movement here, making sure that you haven't lost the alignment in your spine. And exhale, release. One more deep breath in. And on this exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift with a really flat back. Exhale, release, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, forward fold. Flat hands and stepping straight back into a downward dog. Finding that upside down V, bending and straightening each knee, making sure that you're stretching behind the legs. Really working this out as this is our first downward dog of the practice. Making sure you're still taking those deep breaths. And on our next breath, we're going to look towards the top of the mat, staying really low and slowly walking our feet to meet our hands. Inhale, slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time until you reach the top. Rolling our shoulders back and down once we get to the top, finding that grounding point with your mountain pose again. Deep breath in, arms come up. And exhale, release. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, release. One more deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. One more halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step it straight back to downward dog. Holding it here for just one breath this time. Bend and straighten your knees. Hold. Inhale, looking to the top of the mat, walking up towards the front. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, release. Deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Just one halfway lift this time. Really warming up. Planting the hands, and this time we're going to step it back into a high plank. So making sure that your shoulders are stacked above your elbows and elbows above the wrists. We'll have a flat back here, and if this is a little bit too much, feel free to drop down towards your knees. And for the pregnant moms, make sure that you're dropping down towards your knees here. Holding it here for one more breath. Inhale, hinging forward, flat, coming down into your chaturanga. Finding that upward dog, flipping the toes, and finding downward dog. And if that flow is too much for you, we're going to come back into that sun A again. But feel free to just step it straight back into downward dog instead of taking that plank flow. Looking to the top of the mat, walking forward. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Stepping it back to either plank and taking that flow or finding your downward dog. We're gonna drop to our knees here, finding a tabletop. So coming back in, checking in with our alignment here, making sure that our knees are hip distance apart, hands are shoulder width apart, and your elbows are stacked above your wrists. And we're gripping that mat with our fingertips. Coming back into your breath, finding a few cat-cows. So inhale, dropping the chest forward, and exhale, rounding the spine. Continuing to find that movement with the breath. And as you continue to move through those cat-cows, finding your own breath and your own pace, I'm going to read from Isaiah chapter 40, verses 28 to 31. Do you not know, or have you not heard? The Lord is the eternal God, creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint nor grow weary, and his knowledge is beyond scrutiny. He gives strength to the fainting, for the weak he makes vigor abound. Though young men faint and grow weary, and youths stagger and fall, they that hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar as with eagle's wings. They will run and not grow weary, walk and not grow faint. Taking one more cat-cow here. Coming back to neutral spine. We're gonna warm up the sides of our core. So taking your nose over towards your hip, then coming back towards the center and bringing that in the opposite direction. Just moving from side to side here. One more time to each side. And coming back to neutral. We're going to slowly work our way down to our chest. And we're going to find our Sphinx pose. So coming onto our forearms, our hands are still pressing into the mat. We're going to exhale all of our breath and face the mat. And on your inhale, you're going to clench your shoulder blades together and rise up. Thinking of tightening that back muscle and opening your heart. Hold it here for one more breath. And exhale, release, coming back towards the mat. On your next inhale, coming up. And exhale, release. Inhale, rising up one more time. And exhale, release. This time we're going to find Cobra. So the palms of your hands are going to come back underneath your shoulders. And taking a really similar movement, this time we're going to push through our hands. We want to make sure that our elbows aren't winging out. So thinking of gluing them to the sides of your ribs. Exhaling all of that breath coming down towards the mat. And on your inhale, pushing up. And this is just a really slight back bend, but you should feel it in the lower back here. Exhale, release. Inhale, rising up. And exhale, release. Inhale, rising up. And exhale, release. Curling your toes under, you're going to push through your hands and lifting your hips up, finding child's pose. In here, if you feel like you want a little bit more of a stretch, your knees can come wide towards the sides of the mat. Hips sink back towards the heels and really push in towards the mat. Making sure that we're still taking those deep breaths. On your next breath, you're going to walk your hands over towards the right, sinking that left hip down into the mat, towards your heels. Hold it here for one more breath, and then walk your hands through the center and over towards the opposite side. One more breath, walking towards the center. Hold it here just a second. Then on your next breath, we're gonna push through our hands, curl our toes, and find a downward dog. Walk it out here, getting really grounded. Looking towards the top of the mat, walking all the way to the front. Inhale, rising up. And exhale, release. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Plant your hands and step it back to downward dog. So we're gonna do a series here of hanging planks. So if you feel the need to take a break, feel free to do so. Just coming down into child's pose, catching your breath here. So finding that downward dog, your feet are gonna come together at the back of the mat. Right leg is gonna come up with a pointed foot. You're gonna bring your knee to the outside elbow. Then inhale back up towards downward dog. Knee comes in towards your nose and back up. And in towards the opposite elbow and back up. In towards the nose, back up, and outside elbow, back up just for a second, and downward dog. Walk it out here. Feet come together at the back of the mat, and we're gonna take that on the opposite side. Foot comes up, pointed foot, knee to the outside elbow, back up, nose, back up, inside elbow, back up, nose, back up, outside elbow, up just for a moment, and downward dog. Looking to the top of the mat, walking all the way to the front, inhale, rising up, and exhale, release. Deep breath in, exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, release. Plant the hands and step it back into a high plank. Feel free to drop to your knees here for a modification if needed. Hold it here for just one more breath. Knees come wide, toes together, child's pose. And here, if you would like to take this flow just a little bit longer, feel free to pause this or go back to the downward dog with the hanging plank and repeat that all the way until this child's pose. Finding that deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Making sure we come back to that really good yogic breath here. And we're gonna curl our toes and send our hips high for downward dog. Looking to the top of the mat, walking all the way to the front. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, release. Inhale, arms up, not halfway lift. Exhale, release, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Plant the hands, finding a high plank. This time we're gonna go into a side plank. So walking your hands, just adjusting as needed, rolling over towards the side. Arms are gonna open up. And if you need a little bit more support here, take this top leg, bending that, and then bringing your foot just kind of directly underneath your hips, As long as your hips are pushed up towards the ceiling, you should still get that really tight core feeling here. Hold it here for one more deep breath. Coming back through your high plank, rolling over towards the opposite side, opening up, thinking of pushing those hips up towards the ceiling. Coming back down, taking that to a downward dog. Looking to the front of the mat, walking forward. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, release, forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, release, plant the hands. Step it straight back into a high plank, taking your vinyasa here. And finding downward dog. We're going to start to slow things down a little bit, looking towards the top of the mat, walking forward. Walking your feet out just slightly. Take a ragdoll here. So grabbing each elbow and just getting really heavy. Swaying from side to side. Coming back to that breath. Plant the hands, coming back towards your tabletop. Finding those really strong grounding points. Top of the feet are pressed into the mat and taking a few cat-cows. Inhale, dropping your chest. Exhale, rounding up. Coming back to the center, after you take a few more cat-cows, we're going to take those nose to your hips. One to each side. Taking one more set. Toes come together, knees come wide, and child's pose. Continuing to take those deep breaths. Our verses one more time. Again, this is from Isaiah chapter 40, verses 28 to 31. Do you not know, or have you not heard? The Lord is the eternal God, creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint nor grow weary, and his knowledge is beyond scrutiny. He gives strength to the fainting, for the weak he makes vigor abound. Though young men faint and grow weary, and youths stagger and fall, they that hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar as with eagle's wings. They will run and not grow weary, walk and not grow faint. From that child's pose, take one more deep breath. Push up to your tabletop. Take one more cat-cow here. Coming to neutral, passing through simple seated. You can scoot yourself towards the center of your mat, and we're going to come into a reclined pose here. So back onto our back. Knees can come up, giving them a really big hug. Just rock from side to side. Soles of the feet are going to come down towards the mat. Arms are going to rest next to the body. Knees are going to stay together, and we're going to take a really gentle spinal twist here. So dropping your knees over towards the right. Gaze can come over towards the left. Just really gently stretching those ab muscles. Holding here for one more breath. Inhale, knees come back towards the center, and drop to the opposite side. Holding here for one more breath, knees come up towards the center, bringing them in towards the chest. Hooking the peace fingers on the big toes, we're gonna find a happy baby. Rocking from side to side. And then once you feel ready, you're gonna find a Shavasana. So extending your legs long in front of you, getting really heavy into the mat. Your breath can come back to its natural pace here. And just taking this time to close out your prayer. And feel free to stay here for as long as you need. I'm going to read over that verse one more time. Do you not know, or have you not heard? The Lord is the eternal God, creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint nor grow weary, and his knowledge is beyond scrutiny. He gives strength to the fainting, for the weak he makes vigor abound. Though young men faint and grow weary, and youths stagger and fall, they that hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar as with eagle's wings. They will run and not grow weary, walk and not grow faint. Thank you so much for practicing with us today. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel and feel free to follow us on any of our social pages. We are on Instagram as boundless.holyyoga, and you can find us on Facebook just by searching Boundless Holy Yoga. Thank you.